Well, welcome back, everybody, to There May Be Salt. Should we go around counterclockwise this time and introduce ourselves and say what we're drinking? Since we did so great at this last time?
Yeah, for sure.
Do we share a fun fact about ourselves this time?
No, this time we say what we're drinking.
Okay, thank God.
Oh,
Yeah.
Counterclockwise. So
I better go get a drink.
starts with me. I'm Colin Baxter. I'm drinking a lovely vodka sour at the moment, but sadly it's almost gone, and I'm feeling empty inside.
That's pretty accurate. I'm Spencer Andrews, sans the Docky Makura crew, and I don't drink alcohol, so I'm drinking coffee.
An inappropriate substitute.
You're the best teetotaler. Best teetotaler I know. I am the social solipsist. I am drinking some monstrosity of Long Island iced tea mix and orange juice. Because that's what's on the shelf, because I ran out of bourbon.
And Red is pouring himself some wine, although I think he should be pouring himself some of that brandy I got him this week.
That'll be later.
Oh, good.
Okay, yeah, I'm drinking Acrobat wine from Oregon. It's delicious.
Yeah, a friend got it for us as a thank you, so it's pretty good.
I don't think it'll make it to the final cut because of the limiters, but it was just perfect to go from Social Finishes' introduction to the sound of plates crashing. Well, this time on There May Be Salt, we are talking about Blast of Tempest, again, the anime. All of Season 1 and the first episode of Season 2 it was my pick this time. That's what I picked, and that's what I made everybody watch. Does anybody want to try and Rich Evans the plot?
Before we get into that, you keep saying it's the first season, but I was a little confused by that because by all accounts there seems to only be one season. So for clarification, it's the first 13 episodes.
Yeah, so the first 12 episodes were season 1, and then season 2 starts with episode 13 and goes until whatever 24. It was, 24.
Yep.
Okay.
So I gotta start once again by saying...
Rich, help us!
I'm not Rich Evansing this, but I will say my expectations after IS were very, 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 very low indeed. And so watching this actually had me more impressed. I didn't really know what to expect, and I was like, wow, this is not as shitty as IS, I gotta admit.
Ooh, opinions early.
Yeah.
I can definitely see that. I mean, for some background, I've tried to watch through all of Blast of Tempest multiple times now in my life. I was introduced to it by another friend. Yeah, I've never actually finished it. I've gotten all the way to 22 and just every single time give up. It's a show with a lot of promises that it doesn't ever pay off.
I could see it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It has a plot though, so I gotta give it that.
Does it?
You're gonna
hear this phrase a lot from me, I think, during this episode of, does it though? Does it have a plot?
I would like to point out though that you were messaging earlier, I think yesterday. It was like, so when are we going to talk about Blast of Bullshit? And I went, oh, well, I guess we know what Mitchell's opinion is.
Let me make it clear up front. I am vehemently opposed to the existence of this, despite some of the things that it does well. This is far worse for me than our previous endeavor.
We'll get into that in a second. So who wants to try and explain this plot?
Okay, I'll take a stab at it. Oh,
Ooh,
you
Red
go ahead.
October.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, okay, fine. So there's a couple of things going on. First of all, we are introduced to the characters, and there are a lot of flashbacks, which I found really kind of jarring, because I was like, wait, is this in the past? What's happening now? But
Are you gonna do a big long summary?
It's Brett, so
Let
of
him
course
do
he
it.
is. He's
No,
going
I
to
don't
go
wanna
on very
stop you. I just
long-winded.
do you want me to just do like bullet point? Because I can do that.
Oh, I was
No, I wanna
I thought we were doing a Rich Evans like 3 sentences thing. Never mind. Sorry, go ahead.
Let him
Okay,
finish.
I'll
Red, you just
Okay.
do you.
This dude's sister is dead, and he wants to get revenge
Because she was murdered.
because she was murdered, and then
Final-
he has magical talismans that are gonna help him do this.
How does he have those?
He has those because there's a princess who is trapped on an island, and she is like magic. There's this tree that is big or something, and then there's another tree, and everybody turns to iron. And this dude wants revenge, and yeah, okay.
Yeah, you
mean,
basically nailed it. Yeah.
it makes sense actually, in my opinion.
Does it though?
Yes, it
So-
does.
So my best attempt at trying to put it together is that there's this clan of mages. They worship something called the Tree of Genesis, which protects the logic and reason of the world. So, like, it keeps things making sense. And their princess is, like, the most powerful Genesis mage of all time. And the rest of the clan throws a coup and banishes her to an island because they think that the logic of the Tree of Genesis is broken, and they want to bring out the Tree of Exodus that's going to break the Tree of Genesis's reason. So the princess, when she gets banished to the island, can't use magic because you have to sacrifice cars and other modern shit.
I actually
And-
really like that. That was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, they were pretty consistent on that too, but she doesn't have anything to use that for, so the only thing she can do is throw a wooden talisman that she can use like a walkie-talkie almost into the ocean. It ends up in the hands of a boy whose stepsister was murdered, and he goes on he kind of disappears for a few months, then he meets back up with a school friend when an effect of summoning the Tree of Exodus is that these big eyeballs called fruit they turn everybody nearby where they get resurrected to stone. And so that's how the two of them sort of, our two main characters, Mahiro and Yoshino, get kind of pulled into the power struggle of the clan and the sort of coup.
So, question: she was his stepsister, because I thought that like she was adopted or something.
Stepsister.
They
Okay.
don't really clarify the details of their parents' relationship, but yeah, they are wholly unrelated by blood.
Yeah,
one way
They
or another.
clarify it
But
in the manga.
oh, you've read it? Oh, is it better or worse? That sounds like something I should say I'm sorry for you doing.
It's actually much more, it's much better, I think, on print, but I feel that way about most things.
Did you finish the manga?
I did not. I got distracted. It's neither here nor there. But yeah, so I mean there's a whole bunch of mages from the clan, and they've got a bunch of rules that, like, they can't kill people, they can't do anything to disobey the logic of the world, and all the while they're very aware that Hakaze, the princess, they all feel like she's kind of destined to win no matter what, because the thing that she represents, the Tree of Genesis, rules the logic of the world. So there's a lot of like this futility of all this work we're doing, and she's probably gonna figure out a way to luck her way out of this one. But it's basically, I would say in essence, the story of the struggle between Hakaze trying to get off the island and come put a stop to the rest of her clan's plot, and the rest of her clan trying to completely overthrow the thing that's making all the rules of the world.
So on the short list of things I'm curious about, and they touch on it a little bit in the sort of the second half of the first 12 episodes there, the first season, I guess, is they call her princess, and she's the only dissenting opinion, but there's at no point any indication that she's ever had parents or how old she is or literally any of that. But if we go based off of what they talk about right at towards the end, or they say, could a mage of Exodus have been born when the Tree of Exodus was resurrected? Is this some like I'm curious whether does she have parents, or did she just kind of like, was she awakened into some sort of immaculate birth because the Tree of Genesis needed a great mage?
No, she has parents.
Yeah.
Because
When
we've
a man
actually
loves a woman,
we've actually gone ahead and watched more of it, and you meet the Mage of Exodus.
No, I know.
And-
They show him right at the end of episode 13.
Oh, is that?
I
Okay,
assume
sure.
so. I mean, Mr. Hey, I'm working on a construction site, but look at this like ball of red bullshit I can cast.
Yeah.
So let's so part of the reason I wanted to do this particular thing is because I feel like it's a little more, gray. It wasn't, gonna be all things we dislike, and there was gonna be some, I like this, didn't like this. Let's talk about especially Red Caulibacter. It sounds like you guys liked this significantly more than Social, for example. What were some
There's a
things
lot
you
of
guys
things-
really liked about the plot?
For clarification, I don't hate everything about this. There's a bunch of things I do like about it. I don't want to be the Debbie Downer.
All right, Kyle,
But go ahead. Go ahead.
Why don't you take it away?
I mean, I like that it wasn't Girl of the Week each episode. That was a huge improvement. There was tension in the episodes, and so you began to kind of like, oh wow, there's shit that's happening, and you start to root for them rather than, oh, he's doing something with a mech suit. Again, this is all very relative. We watched IS before this, and so that was a big like steaming pile of shit. And this actually did something a little more, and it didn't deliver on its potential. It had a lot more potential with the story and the directions that they could have taken, and they didn't, or they didn't expand on it. And so there was a lot of things that they missed that could have made this something a lot better. But, when you're comparing it to a harem of Girl of the Week, this is significantly better.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way of putting it.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, go on.
No. You go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think you nailed it, Christina. My big problem is not that the ideas are bad. My main problem is that there's all of these things that kind of build up, and where like I'll be watching, I'll be like, fuck me, that is interesting as hell. I wonder how that's going to happen. And then they just sort of like, here's a great example. What's his fucking name? Yun or some shit. He's the master who's not a mage who identified the
June.
skeleton. June, thank you. Like
Junichiro.
his ability to just kind of like stall mages and do that weird flippy attack shit, like he's actually a pretty interesting character, and I feel like there were some really cool places they could have gone with him, especially near that end of season 1 where like shit's really ramping up. Instead he shows up and says, this woman's boobs are enormous, I have to defend her, and just kind of like tools around.
How could you possibly fight a woman with bouncing breasts?
Oh,
Yeah.
you know what I really liked, though? I really liked when June just monologued to himself.
Oh my god, I was
I
sitting
was
in
like,
my
what are
room
you
screaming
doing,
at my
dude?
screen. Oh my god.
These characters really like to monologue.
That was a
This
good
one
moment.
was there's a lot of monologuing and a lot of like just flat exposition, but that one was the worst because there was no reason. They literally cut to him walking down the street. He's looking over the battle and he suddenly starts monologuing, not only for no reason, but to no one.
Yeah.
He leans against a car and proceeds to explain like very important plot things to no one whatsoever for no reason.
Yeah.
It's totally, like, that's above and beyond your normal, well, this is some weird exposition stuff.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's the same thing with like Salmon at the very end. Kind of, he likes to also monologue, and it also brings me to the other thing of the characters have really weird blocking when they monologue. Like, Simone's a God. I said salmon as a joke, and now I can't
I like
say it
salmon. Just keep doing it.
Like
Yeah, I
his
quite
thing
like
where
that
he'll just
too.
bang his sword against the ground to make
Oh my
like, a
God.
sound effect.
That-
When
dude,
you're
that's
not
gonna
thinking
ruin
about
the
it, you're
tip.
like, oh, cool. And then otherwise, it's like,
I
bro, you're gonna break your fucking sword.
Yeah.
I thought that was really funny because from like a theater perspective, as a literal insert of a beat, that's really funny. And it's totally trash, but it's really funny.
Oh, jeez.
And like how he just like let his face give away everything he was thinking.
Oh yeah, get
That
a
was-
poker face, bro.
Oh,
It's
the,
just
the
like-
the cuts to the swirly purple background. I was laughing so hard.
This guy's clearly evil.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
no,
he
and,
wasn't
like-
evil.
No, that's just like it's something out of an entirely different genre. This this show takes itself pretty damn seriously most of the time, and to have like the swirly, like weird swirly background that's supposed to be representative of a character's emotional state is something very much out of like slice of life comedy, not whatever this is. It's so out of place, and I love it. It just makes no sense.
Okay.
So the other thing that we didn't immediately mention that I forgot is that everybody is constantly quoting Shakespeare in this, both Hamlet and Blast of Tempest, and actually
You mean The
structurally,
Tempest.
The Tempest.
Oh, the Tempest. Thank you. They do a whole lot of shit to like mimic Shakespeare and mimic some of his characters. And honestly, like I don't hate the concept, but I kind of felt beat over the head with Hamlet.
So
Yeah.
I have some strong feelings on this, and I'll try not to like blow up at it because I could probably monologue for 15 minutes on how infuriating this is for me.
Someone
All right,
set a
someone set
timer.
a timer.
No, I'm actually not gonna do it. But I will put out there that I am a big fan of Shakespeare. I read Shakespeare over and over and over again because I think a lot of it is really brilliant, and I
I
understand
don't think
why.
many people will disagree.
Well,
Just
but a lot of
saying.
people appreciate Shakespeare but don't actually like it. Which I mean, I totally understand. A lot of it's archaic. And so as somebody who's read over a lot of these a lot, like having them have every single, like I have in my notes here written down every single quote from The Tempest and Hamlet that they have, and literally every single one is used almost in direct opposition to the reading that is generally agreed upon for like the actual play in question. Not to mention they also use a lot of quotes that don't make any sense because the character who is being the character who's being quoted is not the character who is the allegory in the TV show.
So, out of curiosity, like, this is just a thought that crossed my mind, and it's a legitimate out of curiosity thought. Obviously, the show's in Japanese, and they had to translate Shakespeare to Japanese, and then the English subtitles that we read then had to be translated to the English line. I wonder how much of that was, like, the context was lost in the translation to the Japanese.
I've thought about that too.
Yeah.
I'm sure that that's the case to some extent, but I'm not going to give it a pass at all because there are a number of other anime I've watched before that do like to quote Shakespeare, and they do it in much better moderation, and they do it with much better contextual use. So I'm not
the
gonna.
moderation is terrible in
Oh
this.
yeah.
Yeah, no, they just here's an entire 8 lines of dialogue.
It's the first line of the show.
Well, that too.
So this brings me to my thoughts, my summed up thoughts of the anime. I think, or manga, someone was sitting there, they're just like, man, I really like these lines from these Shakespeare plays. I am going to make a manga that just centers around these lines. I'm going to use as many as I can and just throw it out there whenever the fuck I want.
I'm an English student. I love Shakespeare.
All right, guys. So mechs and girls.
So before we started recording this one, Oliver said something that was so fucking funny. We were talking about what we're going to do next week or 2 weeks or whenever the fuck we record it.
I don't
And
know, next recording.
Oliver brought up like the funniest fucking thing that I wanted to save for this. We were talking about all the options, and Oliver asked I think it was Christina said, we all took a little bit of the genres from Infinite Stratos for our next pick. And Oliver asked, so what's this one?
Yeah. Well, what is Blast of Tempest?
That's a great
What
question.
genre does it fill?
What
it's
prompted
a
you to
drama.
suggest this one?
I mean,
Besides having it on your mind, like, was there a connection, or is it just like, boy, this will be
fuck.
good?
It was just, this would be good. But if I had to be serious, what did we take from that? Well, I mean, we definitely took a couple of the girls, like Aika and Hakaze. You know, they could probably hang out in Infinite Stratos if they wanted.
I don't feel
be-
like they're
they'd be an
volatile
archetype.
enough. I don't think they're volatile enough for that show. Like, they're not one bad sentence away from snapping off at the handle.
I don't know. Like, Hakaze, I actually kind of like as a character. Okay, not
Yeah,
kind of.
same.
I actually like her as a character. Man, I have never seen a two-faced bitch quite like Aika. Like, there's like mood swings, and there's I'm lying to my stepbrother, and then there's like whatever the fuck web she's woven.
I actually kind of love that. I'm a big fan of the whole.
So we know what
the-
kind of
the
girls
whole-
the social's into.
No. Hold on. Let me finish my sentence. I really like the whole dynamic between Aika and what's his name, the main
Yoshino?
character. What?
Yoshino.
Yeah, Yoshino. I really enjoy their dynamic. And it never feels like one of them is abusing the other or anything like that. And there's obviously some motivations on both sides that are a little bit hidden. And some of them with Aika we understand, and some of them we don't. And then there's a lot of stuff, especially towards the last, like, probably episode 10, 11, 12, where Yoshino clearly has some other, like, Aika says that he's devious and a liar, and you go, yeah, but no, he's not. And then 10, 11, 12, you go, oh, fuck, he is. And how, but like, what was the context for when this, yaoi bait boy managed to learn to be this devious little shit?
So that's actually explained a little bit. Well, sorry, not really. So the her saying like, oh, he's a terrible person. Oh, he's he's a liar and blah blah blah. That is actually her like keeping other girls away from him.
No. I mean, there's
Like-
some of that, but I think there's something else there. Like,
I mean,
he
he's
doesn't
smart.
he's not yeah, but he's suddenly like clever and devious, and I'm not gonna like overhype him and say, oh, he's a brilliant tactician or anything like that, but it kind of does kind of come out of nowhere. He goes from being like naive and just a really good guy all around to being surprisingly clever, and it's the jump between the two that makes me think that he's always been really clever. And because he's always been really clever, what does it then mean that he's been so good at hiding it?
So on that topic, I would like to point out the in quotes clever bit that they pulled in the final episodes of season 1, where
Oh god.
Yoshino's, this is my favorite tactic of the entire series. He's like, oh shit, Mahiro might be changing his mind to like get the Tree of Exodus revived. Oh, I can't let that happen. So then he pitches this idea to Mahiro. He's like, I will tell you who Aika's boyfriend was.
Oh yeah,
If
and
he
then
is I have
a
Mahiro is
quote-
like,
I have
oh
my-
nope, he's got something I need. He's got something I want.
Let
so
me find.
I need to know. And then
I can't
Salmon's
just let
like,
this go.
dude, no, what are you doing? Like, that's a like, that, why? And he's like, no, I need to know.
So end of episode 9, I love this because Samon he's there watching what's going on and interacting sometimes. And when that pitch comes forward, he says to himself, but in my mind he's speaking for the audience, and the quote is, "Why are you torn by this?" And
Right?
that was so on the nose for me. I loved that moment, not in a good way, but in like, oh, they kind of know that they're fucking this up real bad.
Yeah.
because this is it's an out of the blue, and yes, they do like set up that Mahiro does have, a lot of motivations for why this would be important, but even so, like,
It's
the whole
not
thing
that
is so
important.
contrived.
Yeah.
It's
Well, I mean, speaking of contrived, I mean, literally a third of the first season is them talking about how a skeleton in a body can come back to life, time travel, what's going on.
Oh
like,
god,
it's
that
literally
was.
them.
I was
standing
like,
and
Yoshino,
barking at each
your
other.
But
explanation
Spencer-
makes total sense. Why
Spencer,
is everybody
there's-
saying that doesn't make sense?
But Spencer, time out. Don't you understand? There's no such thing as ghosts.
They spend an entire episode of Yoshino barking a theory that Yoshino admits, yeah, I just made that up to throw Salmon off his game. Like, literally 30 minutes of Yoshino barking just to be like, ha, fooled you. And then he goes to another 30-minute episode of barking his actual theory. Like,
I mean, I feel like so more often than not with that and with the there's no such thing as ghosts and a number of other things, it's like the show's trying to be devious and mysterious and enigmatic, and what it's really doing is just like it's slapping you across the face with red herrings for fun and not even trying to hide it. And it's just milking, like, I think it's like episode 9 through 11 are basically Dragon Ball. They are Dragon Ball level, let's stand here and charge our powers and vaguely say things to each other. They do nothing. They stand in the same place for 3 or 4 episodes and basically do nothing and have this spineless debate that makes no sense.
I like that summary. I love the comparison to Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball
it's
Z.
pretty
That
on the nose.
It really is. I can't think of anything else that it's closer to.
no, that really is spot on. That I could not think of a better thing to compare it to, because I remember sitting through these episodes and just thinking, oh my god, can we just move on, please?
Get on
Just
with
get
it.
her out of the barrel.
Find out next time.
The first half of season 1 is kind of like just the main characters romping around, talking and discovering the past. And I liked those ideas. And like one of my favorite animes is Steins Gate, which is basically nothing but people standing in a room barking about time travel. So I'm not actually opposed to a third of the series or a third of the first season being them talking about that. It's just that, especially with that shift from romp across the country, time for the climactic battle, to stand around and bark pseudo-philosophy and time travel, that's really what throws me. And then, you guys, it sounds like, for sure, Oliver and Christina, you started watching season 2. It's fucking slice of life shit. Like, none of the ideas are inherently bad, but the way they go from one to another it just kind of hurts the pace for me,
The follow through is terrible.
Yeah.
They have all these ideas and they just have very little follow through on them, and when they do, it's just not connected in a way that is, to pull a word from the show, logical.
Yeah.
No, they
really
throw
love
logic
using
around
that
way
word.
too much, and I'm like, no, none of this is logical.
I mean,
time travel is not logical. That doesn't make any sense at all.
They're pitching it as like a logic of the universe, not a logic of human logic, like empirical logic. And so I can sort of let them have that, but yeah. So I do on that topic though, I do have a comment. I have a comment and then a question. One is that the most disappointing thing for me in those later episodes was we didn't go anywhere, so I didn't get to see anything. And one of the things I was most excited about in the first couple of episodes was that the show's genuinely pretty. Like, it's pretty. It's a nice looking show.
Yeah.
They do a lot of work, like with both the the normal animation and then the CG to make it look really good and fit together really well.
Yeah.
So I have to give them props for that, even if everything around it is kind of a jumbled mess. But if anybody wants to piggyback off that, they can. But I was also going to ask, do we want to talk about any of the time travel mechanics at all, or should we just write it off as a fucking mess and not talk about it at all?
So
I mean, they made it make sense, sort of,
within universe.
When Yoshino, my favorite theory was when Yoshino was like, "Well, how long were you actually asleep, Hakaze?"
Yeah.
Like, I really like that,
Yeah.
and I actually was pretty upset when they said, "Oh, that was just him like having his
Yeah.
poker face and like bluffing," and I'm just like, no. Because the
Because it was
theory
by far the best.
it was the best one. The theory that they proposed sort of works. I mean, yeah, it It does, but it really they had the theory that made the most sense.
Yeah, I mean, Occam's razor. What makes more sense?
Yeah.
What is more likely?
What
Well, and
is-
just the same. Oh, sorry. Go on.
Oh, sorry. Just what's the most simplified solution and
Yeah.
answer?
No.
Most simplified
exactly.
is she was put to sleep, and she's been on the island for only 40 days. And
Although
the tree got lucky, or the tree made her lucky with the currents.
Yeah.
The question, it is kind of baffling how they managed to put her asleep when, on a whim, she demolishes a mountain. But
Well, she she had a piece of steel or something. I don't know what that was.
yeah,
It's a
but I
some
mean,
piece
if
of
she can do,
civilization.
if she has all that, like how they could sneak up on her and do whatever they had to do to like trick her into thinking she was, tell that she had
into getting the barrel.
Yeah, that was
They
never
in the
answered.
barrel
that in,
and
late
and being
season two.
asleep for 2 years. They do,
Well,
Yeah.
like in full.
Yeah.
Is it bad?
No, it makes a lot of sense. They were
Okay.
I won't spoil it.
As long as it works, I mean, I'll give them some.
Why it's
I'm
explained
not-
so late is weird.
I decided fairly early on in watching that I wasn't going to try to apply real world stuff too much to this, and I was just gonna try and only argue things that were inconsistent within the rules of the show. So as long as it's consistent within the rules of the show, I'll take the explanation they give.
for sure.
And it was.
Just it wasn't done all that well.
No.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of, Occam's razor, what makes more sense in time travel, besides just the time travel and everything mechanics they try and get into in those late episodes of season 1, they also have a lot of philosophy. And I think most of it is it's stuff where I listen to it and I just can't agree with their reasoning. Specifically, the whole meta of who killed Aika. Basically, they can't find the killer, and the main reason Mahiro's working with Hakaze at all is because she's going to help him find out who killed the stepsister he's in some way, shape, or form in love with. Basically, they can't find them, and it's because it was either somebody forgiven by the Tree of Genesis or somebody who's maybe, the equivalent to Hakaze over on the Tree of Exodus side. But they start to get into this philosophy of, well, maybe she died because she had to die to get Mahiro involved, because that was going to be what happened to help Hakaze, because no one else could do it. So her death was indirectly fated and related to everything else going on and was brought about because it had to in order to... It's one of those, the future is made because of the past, which is made because of the future arguments that I just always really hate. It just really gets under my skin when I think about it.
So maybe I don't even know if we find out. Do you find out later in the season who killed Aika?
No.
Okay,
we haven't yet.
So in that case, maybe stop me if nobody has an interest in having this discussion. But to pull us back to Shakespeare for a minute, if we're gonna assume that they at least had some decent intent with using the Shakespearean stuff, and we connect the vague dots that there are between the first half of the show and Hamlet. If Aika is Ophelia, then suicide, right? So I was watching the rest of the show trying to figure out how that connection worked, still assuming that there was a decent possibility there was no connection at all, and they didn't write it well enough. I mean, they were pitching Hakaze as Miranda when she's clearly Prospero, but that's another argument altogether. But if Aika killed herself, does that work into the show at all? Can anybody?
It
I was
could.
trying to.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, this is just me kind of joking around slightly, but
Well, go for it, because that's about as good as the show does.
spoiler alert. So they think that there's a mage of Exodus, right? And that couldn't be detected by the tree of Genesis.
No, I was gonna make that joke later.
Oh,
Damn it!
plot twist. There's a third tree.
Yeah, so no, I was gonna posit that there is actually a third tree in this whole game. It's the Tree of Guinness, and all it does is just pour Guinness. It makes Guinness, and
It'd make a far more interesting series.
the
I'd
Tree
watch
of
the
Guinness.
shit out of that.
Anyways, back to so anyways,
Joke.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
So anyways, the tree of Genesis, Guinness,
Get on with it.
get on with it. The tree of Genesis can't detect the mage of Exodus, and so if Aika's really committed suicide, which I've always wondered, like, what if she just killed herself? Does that make her the mage of Exodus? Also, what if her killer's already dead?
Yeah, I mean, so you know what? The one thing that gets mentioned like once offhandedly that I'm looking at the wiki to remember if I was right or not. You know what Mahiro never fucking brings up? His parents were killed along with Aika.
What?
Oh, fuck. Well, that
Yeah.
kind of...
So, like,
Okay, never
piggybacking
mind.
off
It's probably
Christina
not
here,
suicide.
murder-suicide.
Yeah.
How
could
can they
work.
find the killer if the killer's dead? Or the parents killed her.
Okay.
Well, that throws the Hamlet parallel all in a spin, because then, you know, you could work in the whole regicide element, and then Gertrude's death by the king's hand. But
Well,
yeah.
okay, so if his
I'm
parents
trying.
were
I'm
also
trying
killed,
really hard to give them credit for work they didn't do.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
you know, I'm gonna go with it was like the dad or something.
Yeah. The dad
If-
who was really like Aika and Mahiro have a really weird relationship. I'm not saying that from a like frankly I've watched enough anime, played enough JRPGs, whatever, that like the kind of weird even an American shit, the like weird almost wincesty things don't really bother me anymore. But like the thing that makes it weird with Aika and Mahiro is that Aika is sort of ingenuine and Mahiro is very, very clearly in love with her. And so, I mean, the explanation could be
he won't
something
even-
literally as simple as, hey, parents found out and thought this was really weird and got in an argument and lost it.
I mean, I kind of when you said that they both died, I kind of made a different conclusion of Aika is so like unstable. We see a little bit that makes us think she might be a little crazy, but maybe she's so unstable that they found out, or she told them and then she killed them because they didn't accept it or something like that.
Yeah, but she's dating Yoshino. Like,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah,
nothing
but
going on
is-
between her
again,
and Mahiro. It's
is
all
she?
in Mahiro.
Yeah.
Is she though? That's the thing. I don't know if I have several places in my notes where I say, is she only dating Yoshino to fuck with Mahiro? To like, is she just a sadist who likes fucking with people? Because there's some stuff in there that would suggest she might be.
She's a really odd, like I said, I mean, the best way I can put it is just her relationships with people are very odd, and there's moments of it I really like, and there's moments where I just kind of want to tear my hair out because I'm so confused by her. Is this why people get upset about women? Like, is this a stereotype?
You wouldn't understand.
I clearly wouldn't. I don't ever drink alcohol. Well, piggybacking on that, I think that everything like this has to have this moment. Best girl competition between Aika, Hakaze, and Fraulein Yamamoto.
Oh
who's
my
not
god.
a suspicious character.
God.
Well,
So who's best girl?
who's best
None of
girl?
the
Well,
above.
I'm gonna go with Hakaze, but if
Why
we're,
is
if
that?
we're being perfectly honest, like Fraulein is pretty fucking awesome.
Look at the way those boobs bounce.
But she's the epitome of a non-character, though. What do we know about her, about Yamamoto, other than her outward appearance and exactly what she delivers standing on top of a
She's
tank?
28 years old. She is
She's
not
single.
employed. She's single.
Exactly.
She is not suspicious.
The only things we know are the things that are either directly
She has more than
outwardly
one gun.
expressed or that she says on top of a tank.
She has more than one gun. We know that.
Yeah.
She is investigating. She is investigating Mahiro. She works with some other people. I could go all day. We know a lot about her.
Yeah, I assume that she and Spear Dude are fucking at some point because
Yeah.
Wait, what?
No,
How?
I'm with them on that one.
Wait, no,
Yeah.
no. Okay, so I'm genuinely curious. How do you make that connection?
What? Mitchell, you cut out.
I genuinely don't understand how that connection is made. Explain to me how they're fucking. Why? Like,
I mean,
everything about their interact. I'm not saying they couldn't. In fact, I would say, yeah, after this is all over, they'd probably have babies together. But still, like,
having watched more, like their interactions
Oh, no.
are a little weird, or not
Oh,
weird,
no.
but indicative.
okay. Well, it is a
Also-
couple. It is how many months later after episode 13?
Like 2?
A few.
It's
yeah.
long enough.
Yeah.
That's long enough to start a relationship. An ill-advised relationship between people who really like stabbing things.
I mean, and Christina, be honest. If you had a spear fight with somebody, you'd probably be pretty into them by the end. Yeah. As the woman here, you can speak to Fraulein Yamamoto.
So anyway, Spencer, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Fake Hiko, as I like to call him.
Oh God. Yeah, that's a damn good way of putting it.
What?
So, what have you got?
What was his purpose?
Yeah, that's
He's the chauffeur.
I mean, yeah, he's the chauffeur. He's kind of there when people need to bark at him. Like when somebody needs to get barked at by Salmon, like he's the guy. And that's weird because it's pretty much the opposite of what Akihiko would be. So Fake Ahiko is a pretty good way of putting it. Like
Yeah.
seriously, but did you guys notice every single time that Salmon had to yell at anybody, it didn't matter whether it was over comm or whether they ran into the room, it was always him. Like he was just always very conveniently where we needed a stooge who also had a face.
That's
Speaking of
no,
which, how damn
Accurate.
long were those guys chanting down there?
that's my
Oh,
question.
I know.
You can't
I was
steal
like,
that
wow,
from
so
me.
they made a clone army.
Stormtroopers.
Rise,
God.
rise. It's
Beautiful.
We were
Beautiful.
Spencer and I talked about this briefly because I commented on it as I was watching through, and we were trying to work out like how that works, like mechanically, like logistically, how that works. And so my theory is that there's like they've got all the guys standing up front, but there's also guys in the wings. And so when one guy gets tired of chanting and pulling at his chain, like he just kind of like leans over. He either leans over or like puts a hand behind him and just like switches out for the next guy who's on shift.
I'm not gonna
I mean-
lie, in the last couple of episodes, I couldn't stop but hearing them all saying Moe, and so I just imagined like 2 years of a bunch of hooded men shouting Moe with like pulling on some chains for CrossFit or some shit. Like
And then
This
you-
is
And then you
this
immediately
is the
thought of
true.
Oron.
Yep.
exactly.
Moe.
No, we
They're,
can't end
they're
an
a host
episode all
This
the
is
way.
this is the truth. This is the truth of Japan's like whole not having enough babies problem. The whole hikikomori thing. It's not boys being antisocial. They're getting recruited by the cult of Exodus and being shipped off to this pit.
To scream Moe and get fit.
Yep. This is the truth behind the hikikomori phenomenon.
To be honest, I
Alright.
could totally get down to that workout of just like pull on these, like, you know, those resistance bands, just pull on these and shout.
Oh, that's
But you
too
have to
good.
make them glow, Spencer.
Oh yeah, no, like you pull on them until they glow. I guess that's just because they're doing it so fast. They're starting to like catch some fire or get friction. I don't know.
Also, if all of those people are in the clan, how the fuck is their village so small?
Oh yeah, right. Like,
Well, no,
because
so-
they're all
okay, so-
screaming in a pit.
So time out, because that's actually a real question. Like, how many people are in this clan? Because it's not a small number. It's in the thousands. It's got to be.
Mostly young children, elderly people.
No, those are just the people in the village.
Well, that's the question is because they're not afraid to live amongst, they don't show off their magic let's just go with muggles. We're going to call them muggles from now on. So the wizards aren't afraid to show off, or don't want to show off their magic to the muggles, but they do live amongst them.
The Harry Potter series for me.
Junichiro is just living there with no problem. Obviously, he doesn't have any magic, but
right.
that does like there are a couple of other. I don't have any specific notes on it, but there were a couple of other times in the show where they said, "Oh, well, there's just. It's not like we're all living alone." They seem to be spread out around the world and living in various places with the muggles. It's not, it's not two families.
Also, the government does know about them.
Yeah. Well, and they've got a multi-billion-dollar attack squad to go take them out, apparently. Because I don't think they mobilized the regular army. I think that was still like...
No, that was the army.
Was it?
Yes, it was. They stated
at least the commanding at the very least the commanding officers, like the dude in that helicopter and stuff like that, are members of this clandestine unit in the JDF. I don't know. I also don't know how the fuck the JDF has all of that military equipment that they can mobilize at a moment's notice.
Well, they
did say it was like a pain in
the
ass to do it, but still.
Wasn't there didn't they say that there was a base nearby?
Yeah.
Yeah, but even so, that's a lot of tanks and shit. That's not nothing.
It wasn't that many.
They might be old as fuck.
It was dozens, if not hundreds, of tanks. There were definitely like anti-air. There's a bunch of anti-air or surface-to-air missile like mobile launchers. They had destroyers in the ocean, probably several dozen of those. It was not a small. They were talking about it on TV. It was huge, and they had to explain it to the Muggles that, oh no, it's just the JDF, doing some practice. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about the big explosions in the distance. They're not blowing anything up of importance.
No, nothing at all.
Also, Mount Fuji is not exactly, uninhabited. It's a big tourist destination, so how they managed to, do all that and not have any muggles looking down from there going, yeah, what the fuck am I looking at?
Well, like, the fruits were over there, so I assume that anybody who was in the area, died.
Mount Fuji gets so much tourism that there's no way in hell that that's the case. Like, they'd be killing thousands of people on a regular basis, and there's no way that doesn't come back to bite them in search parties all the time. Like, they can't just kill everyone on Mount Fuji every day.
Says you.
They
can try, but it's not in their best interests.
The show, yeah, I'll give it to you. That is completely, like, what the fuck is going on with that then?
It's not a great show.
No, it's not a great show.
Yeah, probably delving too deep again.
So I gotta bring this back because we only got through one answer on Best Girl, and Christina, if you prefer, you can answer Best Guy.
Not Fakehiko.
But Fakehiko is obviously the best guy.
You can say Fakehiko if you want.
Face tattoos are my fetish.
Well,
you can do either.
Well, Mahiro is, like, outwardly a douche, so we can just rule him out from the get-go. Fakehiko is Fakehiko, so we rule him out. Someone has no appreciation of blades, so we're going to obviously rule him out.
I like your logic.
What about Spearman?
Actually, so Yoshino, I don't know. I don't think I would trust him, and that's why I might have to rule him out. So I think I'd actually have to go for Spearman, Natsumura. He might be the best guy in the series.
So are you Fraulein Yamamoto now? Are you not suspicious?
Are there any other...
I'm 28, I'm single, I'm unemployed, so you tell me.
You could always go for the leader of, like, the clandestine force in the JDF. He seems to have his head screwed on tight.
I don't like him either. He seems suspicious.
No, I would have to say that the best guy is probably the one of the two pilots in that helicopter that died.
They turned to iron. Yeah, black iron syndrome. I don't want a guy who's iron.
Well, no, he's not iron because they got like absorbed into the tree.
Well, then he's just gone.
You want a tree?
So then, okay, so if we're going for that kind of logic, then obviously any best guy clearly doesn't exist.
Oh, right.
So I could literally pick out any guy.
It's clone number 2875 in the
Yep.
chanting crowd.
Yep.
Best
He gave
guy
a-
is definitely
he
a
gave a
Mully
little-
clone.
He gave a little wink to the screen to the screen. He spiked the camera.
Pretty good.
God. Okay, so you're going with one of the clones for best guy. Fair enough. I'm not gonna say
No, Natsubara is actually pretty cool. Although there is June. He's pretty awesome.
He looks too much like a chick though, and it's really the monologue is really off-putting. I
Yeah.
mean, if there's any
Yeah.
way to just like instantly turn a girl off, it's just to have this exposition out of nowhere to no one.
And to only save her because of how her breasts move when she fights. Like that
Yeah.
guy's gonna objectify the hell out of you.
Yeah.
Might get
I
a
mean,
little
I assume
uncomfortable.
that he just said that because he was like, you know,
Boobs.
because I'm a good
No,
guy.
I mean-
Also, boobs.
No. I vehemently disagree. The password to his house is boobs that don't shake aren't boobs at all. That man is dedicated to breasts in a way that I can only imagine.
I can only
Like-
dream
And
of
respect.
That
Clearly.
guy has he loves breasts more than anything else that's ever existed. So no, I believe that's truly his motivation in life.
You can
Okay.
only aspire to be that one day social.
That's my goal too. Like life goals: get really good at hand-to-hand combat and get super into breasts.
Okay.
I
that
feel like those two
bombshell.
things, no pun intended, that those two things go hand in hand.
I for my point in best girl contest, I have to hands down say it's Hakaze, and like
Yes.
I don't even need to reason it out more than just she hot as fuck in that winter outfit. So like I remember one of the first things I said when my friend showed me Blasted Tempest was Hakaze hot as fuck though, and like that's kind of just stuck with me through every time I've watched it, read it, etc. It's just yeah, that's one hot woman, and boy, when she's not just wearing rags, she cleans up pretty nice.
Yeah. In
See,
rags,
the only-
they like zooming in on dad ass as well.
Mm.
Dad
Especially when
ass.
it's
Apparently-
sort of wet.
I'm the only one who stopped at 13, so the only time I've seen her in anything other than rags or Yoshino's coat is like a
she was
split
adorable.
second. A
She's hot
split
as fuck in
second.
Yoshino's coat.
I would
Well,
like to point
okay.
out Yoshino's coat is conveniently.
Oh, it's
like,
conveniently a pea coat that just passes her thighs,
Yeah, but it like sits at basically his hips on him, but they are of somewhat differing heights.
She is actually quite a bit shorter than he is.
So
Yeah,
it's
she's
just
just short as
convenient
fuck.
that it only goes to like just like right around her thighs.
Oh,
Yoshino's a true gentleman. He always carries a like just past the private's coat on him. He measured beforehand, I do that.
It's the only
when
way
I
to
go out.
live.
It's my first thought when I get dressed in the morning is if I have to give these clothes to an undressed woman, is she going to be sufficiently covered up to preserve her modesty? So
that is
social,
the only way to
best
dress.
girl.
That's how I dress, obviously.
too good. Too good.
Damn, nobody laughed.
Social save us, best girl.
Oh man. I want to say this is a hard choice, but it's probably not. Yamamoto is not a character. She's just a pair. She's
a pair of
only
boobs.
I mean, I can't figure out a better way to say it than that. She's a pair of boobs that comes in to save the day when the plot needs it. She is not a character.
Well, at
She's
least she's not
pretty-
Fakehiko.
I was
She's
actually
pretty
about
gross.
to say she's the female equivalent of Fakehiko
Yeah,
here.
but she's better
Pretty-
than Fakehiko.
Because she's got
Pretty-
nice boobs, right?
No,
She at least-
she's got more going for her than that.
She
If
at
she
least
had red
seems
hair,
competent. She
she'd
can
be
get
the
she can
same.
get her hands on some flash grenades to give to Yoshino if he needs them. So she's not like, at the very least, she's not some damsel in distress. So I don't want to give them points for that, but at least she's not useless. So then there's Aika, who is clearly weird. We won't get into it too much because we sort of already did, but
Little bit.
I'm pretty curious. I am still genuinely curious her motivations, and I have to assume, based on everything everyone said and how the show is played out thus far, that in the end we don't find anything more out. She's just weird for the sake of the plot. So can't really pick her. I guess you have to pick Hakaze. I'm not a big fan, I have to say. She's barely a character either, honestly. She's got, a backstory, but she doesn't have a whole lot of motives beyond what her prophecy has suggested she has to do. She doesn't seem particularly sure of herself in terms of, like, she even she flip-flops between defending, oh, I have to get back to save the Tree of Genesis, and oh shit, maybe I'm wrong. Like, it's just kind of all over the place, and she's more of a character than Yamamoto is, but not by a huge margin. I guess if you had to pick between the three, you'd pick Hakaze, but
Cute as
I'm
fuck.
trying to think. I can't think of. I don't know that I even agree with that. I mean, they keep, as the TV show went on, they kept trying to undress her more and more with more of her clothes ripping off and then finally teleporting into nakedness. And at no point did I go, I'm interested. Nope. I just
Even her
didn't do
personality,
anything.
though. Cute as
Didn't
fuck,
do
though.
anything. Didn't.
I'm with you, man.
Nothing,
I'm with you.
Nothing about her. I'm
Not as
gonna
cute
be
as
the
Charlotte, though.
I'm gonna be
Charlotte's
the
best
dissenting
girl.
opinion. I'm gonna be the dissenting opinion on this and say on that front I have no interest. But if you have to pick the lesser of three evils, you'd pick Hakaze.
You mean the lesser of three, not characters?
Pretty
That's
much.
a good way to put it. I got one question I wanted to ask everybody. What did everyone think about the score for this show? So, musically, what's the
liked it.
opinions?
I
I gotta
it-
say,
Do you want
go
to extrapolate on that, or should we just go around?
I don't know. I like more symphonic stuff anyways. And I thought, it fit pretty well.
It really set the mood, and it was probably one of the few things the show actually had going for it most of the time. It really, what they poorly expressed in words, the music seemed to set the mood at the very least.
Yeah, and I think the mark of some really good music in a show is music that's playing that you don't necessarily notice.
Yeah.
You hear it and it sets the mood and contributes, but you can't really recall anything about it. And that's what this show did with the music for me. And when I did notice it, it wasn't bad. It was, at the end of a scene or something that I noticed the music.
No, I'm right there with you. I love the symphonic score. I thought a lot of it really, really fit the mood, and for all the Shakespearean stuff they go for, the only thing that sort of hit the mark for me was that was the sort of kind of regal sound I would expect to be, it had some real guts to a lot of the music, and I really, really enjoyed it. The one exception I will make is that fucking intro song sounds like it belongs in a 3D Sonic game.
Oh God.
With the exception of the Sonic music, I really loved the score.
I was really happy that intro was exactly 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Skip it every
I'm
single
actually-
time.
Yeah.
I kind of,
your legs.
on the topic of the OP, I didn't hate it. I did at the beginning, and then because I was basically watching the show while doing other things at the same time pretty often, I didn't always skip past it as easy as it could have been to do that when I did want to. It grew on me a little bit purely because I was able to like mentally drown out the stilted English vocals. And after that, it was just butt rock enough for me to kind of enjoy it. Like I'm a big fan of the Japanese OP butt rock intro. It's like I'm a big fan of that in general. I just think it's goofy and fun. So maybe a little bit biased there, but I didn't think it was wholly terrible. The fact that they did opt for English vocals was definitely a mistake, though.
In the Cells in a Submarine Sonic Adventure 2 battle videos where Oliver was making fun of Follow Your Rainbow, that is exactly how I fucking felt listening to that opening theme. Those stilted English vocals are like, there's stilted English, and then there's like, you purposely chose the words this singer can't say. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, it's a mess. And what's so upsetting to me about it is that the rest of the score is so damn on point throughout the whole show that listening to that intro and watching that OP, it does not in any way, shape, or form match or inform what the show is. It should have been something more like the music to the rest of the show. And like I said, it upsets me because everything else was so on point. I think we all just agreed. Social hasn't said anything yet, but
yeah.
At least 3 of the 4 of us said, hey, the music is really good. This is a great symphonic score. I 100% agree with Oliver. A great symphonic score for something like this is something you don't really notice or recall, but it adds to the atmosphere. And then you've got this fucking butt rock intro with some guy shouting words he can't fucking pronounce. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, it would definitely, regardless of my enjoyment of weird butt rock, it wasn't appropriate one way or another. Like, I do think the symphonic score was more appropriate throughout. If they had done something for the OP that was had some of that symphonic nature throughout, like a very clear piano line or something like that, but still some hard rocking guitar, that definitely would have been a vast improvement for me, regardless one way or the other of the English vocals. But those vocals are truly atrocious.
They're cringeworthy.
Yeah.
You could put Sonic into it.
They really wanted to like allude, and I did go through and watch the OP again out of curiosity. The lyrics were very clearly chosen, trying to allude to aspects both of the content of the show and aspects of the Tempest, which doesn't. Just stop making references to Shakespeare. But it doesn't really work for multiple reasons.
I think I realized something. What they actually should have done for the intro is just have a bunch of quotes from the Tempest and just sing those as the lyrics.
Japanese, get like a Japanese rapper to do it over like some hard rocking guitar and piano.
No, it has to
a
be
Japanese
English.
rapper in English.
I genuinely want that. That would have been great.
Get Meguro up in here. Come on. We can make this work. I mean, so
this show doesn't deserve Meguro.
Like, that just got me thinking, though, for some reason about what if somebody did a Shakespeare play, but, like, everybody was dressed up as characters from Sonic? And, like, I really want to fucking watch that, like, right now.
I want to blank that out of everyone's minds, because that's truly horrific.
Yeah.
So I didn't say anything yet about the actual music in the show. A lot of it, I agree with you guys. I think a lot of it was the symphonic was the right way to go one way or another. But I felt like maybe it was just me and being taken out of these scenes of trying to hold on in the middle of these scenes where they're having nothing conversations and then getting distracted by the music. But it was not infrequent that I felt like the music was good but not appropriate for the scene. It was appropriate for what they wanted the scene to be, but not what the scene turned out to be.
See, I just attribute that to really poor writing and execution of the plot.
And then
Yeah,
June
and I mean,
looked at the camera and just started talking.
it's hard to know where to make that, to set that blame, right? Because
Right.
clearly the music, if you put the music as a standalone, it's not a problem. And if you put the writing as a standalone, it is a problem. So when the music doesn't match up with the writing, do you blame the writing because it was bad and pointed out that the music did not match, or do you blame the music because even though it was good, it was dissonant from the writing? Because at the end of the day, I don't think it's really an argument to say that the music is secondary to the writing in any TV show. It's a big important part of it, but it's still secondary to the plot.
I always have this problem with, speaking of the writing. I feel like the reason I asked that we watch the first 13 episodes is because I feel like where we start on episode 13 is such a weird kind of... I like season 2 a lot more than I like season 1. I think that everything...
Obviously why you finished it.
Yeah, that's a different story.
No, it's because you get to see Hakaze in cute outfits.
That's definitely a big part of it. I think season 2 is a lot better done and more consistent in the story it tells. Like, the writing cleans up a little bit. Not a ton, but more. I just feel like where we start in season 2 is such a weird, out of sync place with where we start in season 1. It doesn't always feel like it's the same show. And I think that's my biggest problem with the writing is I always know literally what's happening through the show, and I can always follow that, but I don't really know what's going on and what it means. It's
Saman,
stuff happening.
you're the last person I want to see when I wake up. That was so weird. That I think that exemplifies exactly what you're saying. Obviously, I'm the only one who didn't watch anymore, but that intro to episode 13 was, I think, exemplifies exactly what you said of it. Just why are we here?
I kind of feel like season 2 was the story they wanted to tell, and they just had to write season 1 to make it make sense, and I get that, but like, I just wish they could have done better. Because again, it's one thing to be able to literally know what's happening, but it's a whole nother thing to understand why. It's a whole nother thing to not feel like it's sort of contradicting itself in places. And my biggest thing is that there's things I really, really like about this show, and I don't hate everything about it, not at all. My biggest problem is just that there's not a lot of payoff of a few things that I really liked, and there's a lot of payoff for a few things that I felt like were the least important thing when I was first watching it.
So on that topic, a question for you three. I guess I don't know how far. I guess you've watched the 22, Spencer. I don't know how much the other two of you have watched, but would this show be better if it was half as long? If they made it 12 episodes, either two 6-episode seasons or whatever. If they cut it down and cut out stuff and made it more succinct, would it be any better?
I think if they had put their A-team on the writing for all 12 episodes, if we did cut it in half, yeah, it could be a lot better. It could also be a lot better if the A-team was writing for all 24 episodes, but,
I mean, I think a lot of it, we spend so much time with Aika, and I feel like some of that was needless.
Hey guys, I know who Aika's boyfriend is.
Oh shit. Well, here, you can have this sacrifice I was holding.
Yeah.
No, I think that's actually a really good way to put it. Is like, frankly, some of my favorite moments were a few of those flashbacks to Aika, but a lot of the other flashbacks to Aika I thought were fucking terrible. Or not terrible, it was more needless. Like, why am I watching this?
Pretty much any of the ones where she decided that a long-ass Shakespeare quote was a good idea were the ones that I hated.
You cut out.
Everybody else is going to hear it, but for you guys all, pretty much every flashback scene with Aika where she decided that a long ass Shakespeare quote was a really good idea were the ones that I hated.
So all of them?
No, some of them she didn't quote Shakespeare. Some of them she kept it to a minimum and then actually explained what she sort of meant by it. But just seeing her interactions with Mahiro and Yoshino without it being some weird tie into the mainline story where he's flashing back so he remembers his motivations or something that Ica taught him or something like that. Those were the ones that hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I don't know. There were some moments I really liked with Ica, but I'm inclined to agree with you that we just had way too much of it.
Yup. It was
And
painful.
It's hard for me because I would have liked both more and less. Again, I'm still interested in Ica's motivations and stuff and what actually happened to her. I think there's a story there. I don't think if this team decided to work on it that they'd do anything with it, but I feel like they wrote an interesting enough character to have some depth. And so part of me wants them to have done more scenes, and part of me knows that those scenes would have been trash.
Well, did we have anything else big, outstanding people wanted to talk about?
Well, there was the Tree of Guinness.
Oh, yeah.
That just makes
unironically
Guinness.
would watch the hell out of that.
I think it'd be a much better show.
The Mage of Guinnesses. Yeah.
It's just a fat brewer.
I like it. So we'll get on this, right, guys?
He's not Irish, but he talks about how great Ireland is all the fucking time. And like, don't get between me and my Guinness. Like, just trying hard to pronounce it.
I know
like
that's
it.
a joke. I know that's a joke, but that's like a very anime trope of the guy who's way too into another culture, and it's pretty great.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yep.
Yeah, I could definitely like. I want to do that rewrite of let's the four of us pitch it to the Blast of Tempest team, and we'll call it Blasts of Tempest. Does anybody know why this has two fucking names? Like,
I don't know, but I looked at the
Terrible
wiki page,
translation.
and I'm just hysterical that it's published by Square Enix, or at least the manga was.
Yeah,
I saw
Square
that too.
Enix is
Well-
also a publisher.
Yeah, they publish a shit ton of
they
stuff.
publish
It's
a
not-
lot of weird shonens, and I don't know why, and I can't believe that this is qualified as a shonen. I mean, it works, but really?
I mean, it does some of the same things as our last show of, it tries to be too many things at once.
Sure.
Yeah.
Can't hear you, but yeah.
Too many things at once. It tries to be too many things at once. We got to fix this
Okay.
this audio conferencing thing.
Yeah, I don't know why, but you've been cutting out really bad most of it.
Weird.
Yeah.
No, it definitely has a lot of weird genre things, and I don't really understand. I guess shonen works as well as anything else. Again, to be fair, I mean, I read the first couple of volumes just for comparison's sake, and I thought it was much better on print, but that's because people didn't do weird staging things like distractedly beat their sword against the fucking ground.
Jesus.
Uh,
I'll say something else because I just want to say it. I really liked the fight scenes. I thought that
Yeah.
they were well done, and I thought that the rules of the magic were cool and led to some interesting things in the fights.
Oh yeah.
But they were so
just
short and they were so short and unclimactic.
I think that that's fine. I mean, what
Yeah, they still
what
had
fight
hype.
is really gonna last? 30 minutes. Like,
Especially
not-
when one of the parties can't kill anybody.
Well, no, I'm not expecting that necessarily. I think for the battle that spear-faced guy who has a spear that they had in that first big fight that they have in the parking garage, I think that was really solid. I'm not asking for it to be, a battle to end all battles every single time, but so often were the battles, incredibly short and add nothing to the plot. That's sort of my pet peeve is, did this battle need to be here to advance the plot? And I felt like
But to
maybe
be fair,
more often than not, maybe more often than not, they could have done it a different way. And it's not to say that I didn't like the battles. I really do. And I wish there were more of them, but they need to work them into the plot for a good reason.
So, but instead, what we should do is just have them stand around for 3 episodes doing literally nothing.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
power up.
that's-
No, I'm gonna
that's-
power up.
I had so much.
That's
hype
certainly
when
a larger
Simone
sin.
brought his sword. Like that was the coolest shit. And then like he took 2 swings and went back to ramming it into the fucking rocks.
It was painful.
Well, he didn't have the scabbard anymore to protect it.
Yep, the scabbard that he vaporized.
Didn't he vaporize the sword as well?
No.
Of it-
At the end
eventually,
to
yeah.
heal.
Yeah,
yeah,
heal,
at the
to
end.
heal
Yeah.
Mahiro.
Jesus. Yeah, it was I mean, even like the little tiny bits of fight where they like took a couple swings at each other, I still had some pretty legit hype over those moments, not gonna lie.
Those were
Again,
a lot
it
more
was-
fun than just standing around listening to bullshit logic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It gets back to what I said before of liking the first part because of the nice things they did with the animation. The standing around did nothing to show that, hey, we're a, competent animation studio that can do some nice visual presentation. And so I think more than anything for me, the battles were nice because it got to, I actually got to look at something and not just reverse shot in a clearing.
It's not just some
So
guy
it wasn't
standing
just-
over a rail shouting.
It wasn't
Yeah.
just the Star
Himself.
Wars prequels.
Oh god. No, I mean I am right there with you though, Oliver. I genuinely liked every single fight. No
Yeah.
no
I
exceptions.
I thought that they were great. And they were creative too. It wasn't just always straight fighting.
Yeah, and the
like,
rules
using
of what the
the-
fights were, those
yeah.
made it fun.
Using the electrifying or threatening to electrify the water. I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
yeah, why not?
I'm on board with that.
Well, it's also cool because, like, Spear Guy, if he wasn't worried about killing somebody, Spear Guy would have just, like, finished shit in a second. So seeing that, despite his amount of skill, he was struggling because he had to be cautious still, not to go too far, that made it really interesting. That made it have some actual stakes to me of, this guy cannot kill his opponent, and it's much harder to disable somebody than to, tear their head off with your big fucking pike.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that he has a spear, pike, halberd, whatever.
Trident.
It's basically a trident, except for I don't think those things. Whatever. It's still a blunt weapon. I mean, at the end of the day, he's not using the spear as a spear. He's using it as a blunt weapon because he's got the force field on it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yep.
Still, like, it makes it cool the way that way that they have to fight, and that the fact that even when they only took a couple of swings at each other, there were real stakes in that of, boy, I hope I don't cut this guy with my sword.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
made
thought
it fun.
that it made them as dumb as the plot was, that it made them semi-compelling villains in as much as we actually have some rules. We don't just want to fuck the world up. We've got a good reason for doing what we're doing, and we don't want to, wantonly kill people.
Okay. Well, I think that we've
Kind of exhausted most
Yeah.
topics, unless anyone has anything else they want to add in.
If we got nothing
guess-
else, I just wanted to sign off with our salt question,
I got one last thing, and I have to be pedantic right at the end because it's me. My only
Someone set
gripe.
a timer.
My only real gripe about the battle system and the rules of the combat was typically for characters that can like have huge agility and can teleport and shit. There's some rules to the universe. You take something like Nightcrawler in Marvel or something like that, where there are rules as to when and how he can use his abilities. Whereas more often than not, I felt like they were just warping around as needed. Sometimes they were warping through walls when they couldn't see what was on the other side. Shit like that. He just warps himself into a fish tank and then bubbles around him, which the idea that he would nail that the first time around.
no, he dropped into it. They were up
the
above. He
Okay, well,
jumped
regardless of that one in particular, the specific rules of this whole like casting speed and agility thing, if I have to be pedantic, so I'm gonna be. I wish there was a little more clarification on that. but I'm the guy who likes the technical explanation for how magic works. So, you know, screw me, I guess. Anyway, that was all.
So I guess that leaves us with the big question of the series. Is there any salt? I'll start and say, yeah, I'm not like, I don't hate the show. I don't hate everything about it. There's some stuff I really like. There's even a couple of things that they actually had some payoff on that I really like. Like I said, season 2 is much more solid, but as far as like in general, am I salty about it? Yeah, I am.
Okay.
I'll go next, I guess. I'm, if it wasn't apparent, I'm pretty damn salty, but that doesn't change the fact that there was enough in here that I'll probably finish it. I'm not happy about finishing it, but I feel compelled to.
That is,
So there's definitely
that is a very
salt.
you answer.
Yeah.
Christina?
No, I think you should go next.
Oh, okay. I guess I have a little bit of salt. Not as much. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this quite a bit more than Infinite Stratos. And
But that's not hard.
no, that's not hard. Also, I totally lied. I'm never gonna watch season 2 of Infinite Stratos. I can't do it.
It's a bit of apples and oranges between the two. They're both pretty bad in their own ways.
Yeah, but I don't know. So a little bit. Mostly when June just started talking to nobody in particular.
You
Yeah.
got some salty moments. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I would say that I actually have a little worse than salt. I'm actually very disappointed in this anime.
Ooh.
Taking it to the, you know, that moment when your parents aren't mad, they're disappointed instead, and you're just like,
You
oh,
got that
that's
fucking pepper shaker out. Oh shit.
it's the fucking worst. I was interested in this anime. It was like, okay, there are so many different directions they can go and so many different angles they can take, and there's a lot that is going for it, and they followed through on almost none of it. And it just left me feeling very empty and disappointed inside. So
It's a good way to put
Yeah.
it.
I'd agree with that. I'm actually, I definitely agree with that. Those first 3 episodes, I was probably having a really good time.
yeah.
I like that we've got a whole salt spectrum on this one. Makes it fun. Something for everybody.
Salty. Beyond salt is disappointed.
A little bit of salt. Moderate amount of salt. Very salty. Disappointed.
Kidney failure.
Oh, God.
Need dialysis here. There's so much salt.
Well, with
So
that,
should we tell everybody what we're gonna watch next time?
Yeah, whose pick is it, and why don't they tell us?
So it is my pick for next time. And earlier this week, I started watching a glorious anime called Kiss Him, Not Me. So we're going to be watching all of that. I don't know what it's going to be after the first episode, but I'm
Stoked.
excited to reconvene with everybody and discuss it.
Oh boy.
Stoked. All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, interact with us, or we'll all be terribly sad.
It's true.
And I guess we'll end on that note.
Yeah, I guess.